Hi, and welcome to our latest edition of the Empowering Women in Real Estate educational series. I'm Karen Cooper. I am the founder of Empowering Women in Real Estate. And what I want to share with you today are some new agent success tips. So this is probably a very highly requested topic in the group, in our Empowering Women in Real Estate group on Facebook. We are, it seems like every day there are more and more new agents who are joining us who have a lot of questions about how to get started and how to build and grow their businesses. And so that is what I'm going to be sharing today, is some of my top success tips that have helped me in my business. I've been in business now for 19 years, and throughout my entire career, really averaged 50 to 60 transactions a year. And I got to that point really pretty early in my career, probably within about a year and a half, 2 years. And so I have put together for you a lot of the tips that I know have been most successful or most helpful to me in being successful. And I think that they will for you. So let's jump right in. Okay, so you've got your license. Now what? It is such an exciting time, but this is so overwhelming. You don't know what you don't know. The real estate courses, unfortunately, really don't prepare us for real life as a real estate agent. You learn about the law, you might touch on contract paperwork a little bit, but at least in my state, not really. And so once I got my license, everything else was brand new. What I needed to know in order to actually get moving in my career, I didn't know, and I had to figure out. And so we're going to talk a lot about that stuff through this course. One of the things that I think was really helpful to me that I learned early on, and this is really, it's a mindset. And that is understanding that real estate is a lifestyle. This is not a 9-to-5 job. If you want to try to move this business or conduct your business as strictly as a 9-to-5, you are going to be frustrated because the calls are going to come in the evening. The calls are going to come in the weekends, and that's just how the business runs. So you have to really kind of adjust that in your mind. And especially if, like me, you are coming from a more traditional 9-to-5 type corporate environment, that is a little bit of a struggle to adapt to in the very beginning. Another sort of kind of introductory tip or step is just embracing technology. Use technology to your advantage for doing business on the go, because especially when you're getting started, you are running all over the place, you're going on appointments, you're showing property, you're previewing, you're doing all sorts of different things, and you spend a lot of time on the road. And it can be really stressful to not have what you need. And so setting yourself up to be able to use technology to your advantage so that you can do business anywhere is really, really critical. And I do not consider myself to be the most tech savvy person, but I have embraced a few different things that work for me. So for example, some different tools and apps like Dropbox is what I use. It's what my team does. All of my files are in Dropbox, so I can find them anywhere. Google Drive works similarly. There's iCloud. There's a lot of different things. Find one thing that works for you and stick with that. Evernote has been a game changer for me. I started using Evernote probably 12 years ago, maybe longer than that. And I use it as a lead log. That is what I started initially using it for, because when I started real estate 19 years ago, everything was very analog. So I had a paper log that was my lead log for my business that I received from my team, from my team leader. I was on a Rainmaker team. And so we wrote everything on the log. And so I would have to carry that thing with me everywhere. And then years later, as I'm on my own, I'm finding that I was missing having something like that. I would forget it. I wouldn't have it with me, because every time you meet someone, let's say you meet someone at an open house, or you have a casual conversation, or somebody calls in about your listing, but you don't really have enough information to connect with them or to stay in touch with them or to put them in your database. But you don't want to forget about that person, because what happens if, let's say you meet that person at the open house, you have a great conversation, that house goes under contract, but then you find out about another listing that you think might work for them. You want to reach back out to them to let them know, hey, I just saw this other listing that I think is going to be great for you. You probably are not going to remember who they are, because the more people, as you start getting started and working with people and meeting people, you can't keep track of who had what. And so Evernote became critical for me, because Evernote has such amazing search functionality. So I could quickly put in a little note card into my notebook. Everything is organized into notebooks for leads, and I put basic information, the name of the person, where I met them, any contact information. And so then I have some keywords. So I could search for the street address of that property, or if all I remember is that their first name was Bob, I can type that in and it's going to help me to find that information. So that became huge for me. Over time, I started using it for everything else. So can't speak highly enough of that. I think Google, or maybe it's Microsoft, has something called OneNote, which functions very similarly. So something like that is really very helpful. Dotloop is another great app that I use a ton in my business. So this is going to depend on your brokerage, and it's going to depend on what is the contract software that you guys use. We use Dotloop. There's an app on my phone. So I often will be sitting at my kid's baseball game and, I need to draw up an addendum, or I need to ratify a contract. I can do it right within the app. So it can depend on what your brokerage uses. But there's so many technologies and tools that you can use. You really want to make sure that you are set up so that you can do business from anywhere. What that might mean is making sure that you have hotspot capability on your phone so that you can connect to your laptop and you don't have to run into a coffee shop every time in order to get some internet to do what you need to do. Or maybe you set up the Wi-Fi in your car, having your laptop with you in the first place. Maybe it's an iPad instead that you carry around. I did that for a long time. So figuring out what it is that's going to work for you to do business on your own, on the go. And then establishing your daily routine. Even if you don't have any appointments, and in the beginning, you probably don't or won't have very many, you can and you should still be working on your business. When you are brand new, a day with no appointments is not a day off. A day with no appointments is not a day to just watch Netflix because you don't have any appointments that day. There are still things to do. The more you can establish your routine in the beginning, that is going to serve you so well in your business for the long term. I know for sure it did for me. I worked on a Rainmaker team. I wasn't obligated to be in the office, but I specifically chose to be in the office because I wanted to be around people and listen and hear things. And so it kind of gave me, I had a routine. I had a rhythm. I went in around this time. I left around this time. And so even if I didn't have appointments, I was still there. I was still working on things. And so just kind of having that routine is really very helpful. So figure out what that might be for yourself. It doesn't need to be perfect. What it is right now is not what it's going to be a year or 2, 3, 5 down the road, but start with something and then you can tweak and edit as you go. And then something that has been really helpful for me that I started doing this in the beginning, and then now it's really kind of morphed into my daily business builders, which you've heard me talk about before. Most likely I've done a whole podcast episode on this topic, is having daily or weekly goals. So especially when you are just getting started, everything is new. You don't have any clients yet. You don't have any leads yet. You don't have a schedule, have a specific, for me, it helped to have kind of like a sort of gamify it, like have a goal. So maybe it's, I'm going to preview 5 houses every week, or maybe it's, I'm going to write 5 notes a day, or perhaps it's going to be, I'm going to give out 5 note cards every day or every week. Like have a couple little things that sort of gives you a direction and gives you a target to sort of get you engaged. Being engaged in the business is really, really key. Next big tip, and this is probably the biggest tip, and this doesn't matter if you are brand new or you are 10 years in business, this is going to apply to you all the time, and that is don't be a secret agent. You want to, and you need to tell everyone that you are in real estate. You want to send out letters and notes and emails and post it on social media, and you're going to repeat it again and again and again, because just because you tell someone one time that this is what you do, you're not going to, unless they need your services or someone they know needs your services right that minute, chances are they are not going to remember when the time comes for them to have your services. Because especially if you're new and you have a different relationship with them, maybe they're a former colleague or they're an old neighbor or a current neighbor, they think of you as their neighbor so-and-so or their work colleague so-and-so. They're not thinking about you as a real estate agent. And it takes time to really get that going and to build that. And so you have to be consistently reminding them. Do not feel like you're saying it too much, because I think that that's a worry that we all have. We tend to overthink it. Well, just last week I posted that I was in real estate and that I showed a house. Okay, do it again, because you don't know that Facebook showed it to them, or you don't know that Instagram even popped up in their feed. So you have to do it again and again and again. A little old school. but you might want to consider wearing a name tag. This is something that I did for many, many years, and mostly because it was comfortable. It was a comfortable conversation starter for me because I very much consider myself to be more of kind of an introvert type personality, and I am not the person who's going to strike up the conversation with somebody at the grocery store or someone, you know, I don't know, at the gas station next to me. But I found that when I wore the name tag, other people would they would start the conversation with me. They would ask me, "Oh, how's the market?" Like that's the number one thing that people ask you when they know that you're in real estate. So you want to have an answer for that, which we're going to talk about that in a second. Um, they would kind of, "Oh, I see you're in real estate." "Yes, I am. Are you? Do you know any? Are you looking to buy or sell a home, or where do you live? Are you here local in the community?" I mean, it gives you an ability to really start that conversation. So you can get them super inexpensively, very worth it, especially in the beginning when you're not comfortable starting those conversations yourselves. Hand out your business cards like candy. I will never understand why agents want to, sorry, I will never understand why agents are hesitant to hand out their business cards because it's expensive and they don't want to, it's actually not that expensive. And if you look at the cost of any time a type of marketing or advertising that you do, your business cards is one of the least expensive things possible. So hand those suckers out. Anytime you meet somebody, oh, you see the name tag. "Oh, you're in real estate." "Yes, I am. Here's my card. Please don't, I'd love to help you if you ever have a need." Or, you're writing a note to someone, stick in your business card. Or you stop at your local favorite coffee shop, put a business card on their bulletin board. Most places have those. So don't always have them with you. I would have them in my pocket. I would have them in my purse. I would have them in my car. So I was ready to go and hand them out at any given time. You also want to make sure that other agents in your office know that you are ready, willing, and able for opportunities that come up. So things like open houses, rental leads, buyer referrals. In the very beginning, when I first got started, so much of my business, so many of my opportunities came from other agents in the office. I wasn't eligible yet to take, we did duty time back then. I wasn't eligible to take the phone. There were so many things that I couldn't do, but letting other agents know by being present, calling them up, letting them know, "Hey, I'm available. If you should need anything today, I'm your girl. Just, anything you need, just let me know." Let them know that you're there for opportunities, because especially if it's a busy agent, they probably don't have time to do their own open houses, or they may not be interested in taking their own rental leads. And so letting them know that you're here for opportunities, you're ready to learn, you're ready to do whatever. A lot of business can come your way by doing that. So be sure to do that. Don't be a secret agent when it comes to the other agents in your office. And make sure you update your social media profiles. It amazes me how many agents do not mention where they work in their social media profiles. And I see this a lot because, our Empowering Women in Real Estate group has over 26,000 members. We're averaging over 300 new members every single week. And a lot of people, I can't tell by looking at their profile if they're in real estate. And it's okay, you get to choose what you want to share on your personal profile. You get to choose whether or not your profile is going to be public or private. That's okay. But I do still think it's really important to list your employment on there, that you are a realtor with such and such. Because here's why. When you are referred by someone says, "Oh, you know what? You should call my sister-in-law. She just got her real estate license," or "She's in real estate." They're going to go and they're going to look you up. And if your profile does not indicate that you are in real estate, they're going to think a couple of different things. Okay, maybe you're not very serious about your business. Maybe you're really only a part-time agent. Maybe you're brand new, even though you are. We don't necessarily need to advertise that. Or maybe you don't have much of a presence on social media. Or they're going to make all of these assumptions about you if you're not at least saying, "Hey, this is what I do for a living." Think about it. A lot of your friends who are not in real estate, their profiles say what they do, or their profiles say where they work. So it's okay to do that. And I highly encourage you to make sure that you do that and update that information on your social media profiles. And then make sure, as a new agent, you set up profiles, complete profiles for yourself on websites like Realtor.com, Zillow, HomeLight, any of those websites out there that generate leads in business. I have gotten a lot of business from my Zillow profile, not because I'm buying leads, not because I am paying into any of their types of, programs that they have, but just because I have a complete profile. I ask people to review me on my profile. And so the more I do that and the more business I attach to it, then the more calls I get from it. So having those profiles, and it also goes back to giving you a little bit of, it's like, uh, people knowing that you're real. If you get a referral or somebody says, oh, call so-and-so, or they see your card that you left at the coffee shop, chances are before they call you, they're probably going to do a quick search, whether it's on Google or whether it's on Facebook. And if you don't show up anywhere with real estate attached to you, then they're going to think they've got the wrong person. They're going to think maybe you're not in business anymore. So you want to make sure that you have those profiles set up. It doesn't take very long. It's very easy and it doesn't cost anything. Next thing, and this is probably, I really could have started here. You need to establish your database. Even when you're brand new, even when you don't have any clients yet, you have to start with your database. Your database is not just the people who you have helped to buy, sell, or rent. It's not just the people who you think are going to be ready to buy, sell, or rent soon. It's everybody that you know. It is absolutely everyone, because it's not about them necessarily doing business or being ready to do business with you. It's about all the people that they know. When their colleague at work is saying, yeah, I think we're getting ready to move. Oh, you know what? Great. I know this. Please call my realtor. She's so wonderful. Let me give you her information. And so that's what you want. And that's not going to happen unless you have a database set up and unless you're keeping in touch. So that is really critical to do. There is no right or wrong way to do this. I have tried so many different systems over the last many years, and it's okay. You use something for a while and then you tweak it and you adjust, and eventually you'll find something that's maybe a little bit better and you go on from there. It can be a CRM type program, something like Contactually or Salesforce or Agent Office, or I use Brian Buffini's Referral Maker CRM. There's many different options, a variety of price points that are available to you. It could be Excel. It could be note cards. I'll admit that for many years, I kept my database in my phone, right within the contacts in my iPhone, and I had people tagged and I had them in groups. So there's really no right or wrong way. You just find something that just to get it started, and then you can tweak and adjust it as you're going along. You want to make sure that you send out an announcement to your database. So you get started, you're establishing your database. Remember, you don't want to be a secret agent. So you're going to send out some kind of an announcement. Your broker can probably help you with this. I'm sure they have maybe some templates or other agents in their office that have done similar things that they can help you to put this together. So you're going to send out an announcement. And then you want to set up a marketing plan so that you can consistently stay in touch or consistently touch your database. There is a stat that I have quoted for many years that may not even be completely accurate as of today, but it was from the National Association of Realtors, and it was that people forget that you're a realtor every 17 days. So you have to constantly be reminding them in subtle ways. It's not that we're trying to sell them. It's not that you're, and I do not consider myself salesy at all. That turns me off completely, just in the way that I like to do business when I'm working with vendors or other professionals. And so I don't want to do that to other people. So it's not that you're calling them up or you're mailing them things to say, hey, will you work with me? Or do you want to buy a house today? It's just reminding them, hey, I'm here. I'm here to help when you're ready. I'm here to help if you know someone who's ready. And it's just consistently doing that. So you do need to have that marketing plan set up. You might want to consider one of the courses in this Empowering Women in Real Estate educational series was called Marketing Plan Made Easy. It's only $29, and it walks you through the entire process for setting up your marketing plan from start to finish. And so if you are struggling with that or you don't have that already in hand, then I would encourage you to go and check that out. And then when it comes to that keep in touch strategy, that marketing plan that you're going to do, it needs to be a balance of various different forms of media. You can't just mail over and over and over again and expect to get great results. It has to be a combination, because you got to meet people where they are and you don't know where they are. So it's a combination of print, email, notes, phone calls and texts, social media. I do a lot of pop buys. So there's a variety of things that you need to do that really gives you that well-rounded marketing plan that's going to give you the best results. Next is you've got to get to know the market. And as a brand new person, I mean, there are so many things that you don't know. And really, one of the critical ones is you've got to get to know the market, because what's going to happen when people actually want to start working with you or people actually start asking you questions? You've got to know what to do. So, how do you do that? How do you get to know your market? So, you want to preview, preview. I did this a ton in my business. Now, I realize that previewing is not something that is done in all areas. So make sure you ask your broker if this is something that's done. Depending on the market that you're in, it may not be something that you're able to do right now, just because in many markets it's hard to get showings for buyers. So certainly you don't want to take up a spot for previewing. So you want to check with your broker about that if you're able to do that. But I highly encourage you to do that. Previewing is when you're scheduling an appointment to go and view the home. You don't have a buyer with you at that time, but you're just previewing the home. And then always leave your business card. Be a professional, leave your card. That's critical to do. If you aren't showing properties to buyers or tenants, you should be previewing them. I would make sure that I was seeing a certain number of homes every single week, because that was going to give me some confidence. That was going to give me some real life market knowledge. Okay, you know what? This is what this type of home is selling for. And then after you start to see a few, you start to see patterns. Okay, these townhouses, they tend to be selling around this much, or the homes that are sitting on the market, they tend to be in this type of condition. So when people are asking you questions, or when you have buyers, it's going to give you things to talk about, and it's going to give you actual experience and stories that you can share, which is really, really critical. Now, if you can't preview, if it's not possible, because of showing demands or COVID or just whatever, then you can spend time every day reviewing the listings in your MLS. And in fact, that is something that I did on a very multiple times every single day. I would run a search in my MLS and see what was new and what had gone under contract, what was new, what went under contract. And so it was giving me that market knowledge that I really needed to not only to feel comfortable when I was meeting with people, but when people were asking me questions, I actually had things to say. And another idea is, if there is new construction neighborhoods in your area, new construction developments, then go and visit them. Visit them, meet the sales reps. You can follow up with a handwritten note, and it helps you to kind of make those connections. There's an agent on my team who closed many referred clients last year from a new construction sales rep that she established a relationship with. He became part of her database, and he would regularly refer to her when he had buyers that came in that wanted to buy in the neighborhood but had a home to sell. He would refer them to her. So imagine what a great connection point that would be. So multiple reasons to go and visit new construction neighborhoods. And then just a little side note on this, again, if you do new construction in your area, always address new construction with your buyers, even if they don't mention it. Where I'm located, if the buyer visits a new construction or a model home without you, then they don't get representation by you. And the builder's rep is not going to pay you to represent them in the transaction. So it's important that you have this conversation with your buyers. Hey, you know what? I know we haven't talked about new construction, but I just want to let you know, if you happen to be driving by and you see a new construction community that you're curious about and you want to go take a look at, please give me a call first, because it's really important that I call ahead and register you with the sales rep. So make sure you get that out of the way. And then, as I alluded to previously, make sure you have an answer for that how's the market question, because it is going to happen every time you see someone and they find out that you're in real estate. Almost inevitably, the question that you get is, oh, how's the market? Well, how's business? How's the market? You got to have something to say. So I would study local market stats. I would memorize a stat or two that made sense to me. Sometimes it was days on market. Sometimes it was amount of inventory. Sometimes it was the percentage that homes were selling over or less than list price. And so I would have some stats that were ready. Plus I had all this market knowledge because I'm studying the MLS or I'm going out and previewing properties. And so when somebody asked me that question, I was prepared. And that's what you want to be. You want to feel prepared, and you want to feel confident, and you want to set yourself apart. Next is, you need to know the contracts and the paperwork inside and out. Please do not practice on your clients. You need to practice ahead of time. You need to practice before you have the client. You need to practice before you're writing the contract for that buyer. So you can prepare paperwork for pretend buyers and sellers. I use this all the time. You can ask your mentor or your team leader or your broker to review them for accuracy. I remember there was an agent in my office when I was new that he would actually, and it was great, it was a win-win, he would ask me to fill out paperwork for him. And I was getting practice. He was reviewing it because he obviously needed to make sure it was right before he presented it to his clients. He was saving time because I was preparing the paperwork. So it gave me wonderful experience. So you can do this thing too. Pick a listing, pretend you have a buyer, and write up a pretend contract and share it with your broker, share it with your team leader or your mentor, and have them review it for you. And that is going to be so helpful. I can't tell you how helpful that was to me. Just doing that a few times really helps you to feel confident and help you to feel good about your paperwork. And then present that paperwork. You know, we don't just, or we shouldn't be, we don't just hand over the contract to the buyer and say, hey, sign here. We actually need to explain to them, what are they signing? What are they even doing? Same thing with listing agreements. What are they agreeing to when it comes to working for me or with me? So they need to understand. And the only way is for you to practice this. So you can present to your family members. You can present to your kids. You can present to your dog. You just want to pretend that you are presenting to someone and actually going through this contract. I could do it upside down. For years and years, my paperwork would be upside down and I'm walking them through. And that's what you want to get up to, because it shows a lot of, it instills a lot of confidence in the client that you really know what you're talking about. And so that's really, really important. The only way to do that is to practice it. The only way is to do it over and over again. Maybe you even record yourself presenting. You know, you can do it on your computer using Zoom, which is what I'm doing right now. And then you can go back and review it afterwards and see, okay, what are some things that seemed awkward, or where were the areas where I stumbled, where I want to go back and learn a little bit more. So that's really critical. Next is you need to be ready. You need to be ready for every opportunity. Just like I mentioned when we first started, real estate is a lifestyle. This is not a 9-to-5 job. So you don't know when that call is going to come in. You don't know when the phone is going to ring with that opportunity that might require you to head out the door right that minute. That is one of the most stressful parts of this business, and it will be less stressful if you are ready. You cannot be ready. It's really hard to be ready from your couch at home. You got to get out there. You got a preview of possible. You need to visit brokers opens. You need to stop in at your office every day. You need to be actively in the business of real estate. You need to be fully immersed. The more immersed and involved you are in your business, the more business will start to come to you. So you got to put that out there. Being ready for every opportunity is also going to be more difficult if you are not dressed for your day. I can remember this happening to me several times, and it was the worst feeling. I was, dilly-dallying in the morning, not getting dressed, maybe hanging out in my pajamas till afternoon. I'm working on my computer at home, but I'm not dressed for my day. And somebody calls and they want to see my listing, or a seller calls and they would like a listing appointment and they're only available that afternoon. Well, now not only do I have to make the appointment, get ready for the appointment, gather my comps, do all of those things, but I got to hurry up and get myself dressed and presentable too. It just adds a whole nother layer of stress. So just get yourself ready for your day. And that's going to make this so much easier for you. It's going to help you to go about your business as a professional. Being ready for every opportunity in the beginning means that you're going to be willing to go anywhere, and you're going to be able to you're going to do anything. If it's safe and legal, don't say no. That's my advice to you. That is what I did in the very beginning. I would drive 90 minutes to show one house to somebody who never bought anything. I would go an hour for a listing appointment. Somebody had a rental lead for a $600 budget. That paid $20. I would go because it's experience. It's experience. It's an opportunity, and you don't know where that opportunity is going to lead you, and that can lead you into so many more opportunities down the road. And so really critical to just be willing to understand. And it's hard. Listen, it is really hard in the beginning, because you were doing so much, and a lot of times you're doing a lot that you're not getting paid for a while. But it is in that activity that business will start to flow. And then once it starts to flow, then you can rein it back in a little bit. And then you don't have to drive 90 minutes anymore for a showing. You can refer that one out. But you don't get there without starting with taking on everything. Every single opportunity is going to be valuable experience, even if it's the buyer who ends up, they look and you show them 35 homes and they decide, you know what, we're going to stay put. We're not going to move. You learned a lot. You learned a lot about the market. You learned about talking to people. You learned about overcoming objections. You learned about dealing with other agents. You learned about neighborhoods. There's so much experience that comes that you only get by doing. So you have to get out there and you have to be ready for it. Next is setting expectations. So Yes, you need flexibility, especially in the beginning. You have to be flexible, but you also have to establish some boundaries. And this is going to expand in time as you grow your business. As we mentioned at the beginning, real estate is a lifestyle. This is not a 9 to 5 job, but you also don't have to answer your phone at 11 o'clock at night. Like, you can have a reasonable boundary for when you're going to kind of shut it down for the day. And that is perfectly okay. And the longer you're in business, the more you can kind of contract that. But you don't have to feel obligated that you've got to respond to the email at 1 o'clock in the morning, or you've got to respond to the text message that comes in at midnight. Yes, you got to be flexible, but you need to have a little bit of boundaries around what is going to make sense for you, or you are going to burn out really quickly. Great advice that I received the very first day that I was in business is everything you have going on, whether it's a dentist appointment, it's date night with your spouse or your partner, or it's time with your children, that is an appointment. You want to always establish yourself as a professional. I would always speak in terms of appointments. I'm sorry, I'm unable to come to view that property with you tonight. I have another appointment, but how about tomorrow morning? It's always an appointment. They don't need to know that the reason I couldn't go is because I have a date with my husband to watch Call the Midwife on Netflix, which is my current favorite. So it's okay. You need to, everything is an appointment. And so you want to establish it that way. Another great advice that I got, which I have spoke about really ad nauseum, is you never, ever, ever want to say, when would you like to meet? And I think that happens a lot because we're so excited. You're so excited that you've got this buyer who wants to see a house. You are so excited that you have this seller who wants to talk to you about listing their home. So you're like, great, when do you want to meet? Well, okay, so a couple of things. You need to establish yourself as a professional. Even if you have nothing on your schedule, you want to teach and set the expectations from the very beginning that you are not available at their beck and call. You are not just sitting around waiting for them to call you for appointments. Anytime you get the request to show whatever, instead of saying, when would you like to meet? Say, I'm so excited to show this home to you. I can't wait. I'm available today at 2, or tomorrow at 9, or tomorrow at 2, or Wednesday at 9, or whatever. But you pick 2 times and you offer that to them first. 99% of the time, they're going to choose something that you suggest. So just, yeah, and it takes a little bit of self-discipline and a little bit of confidence in yourself to do this, but I promise you it is going to make your life so much easier. Even if you have nothing else going on right now, I promise you the one time they pick is the one time that you can't do it. So you might as well just set those expectations from the very beginning. Your goal is to be in demand, not on demand. And as you are growing in your business, the value that you are bringing to your clients is not in your availability. So you got to keep that in mind. Next is business to business relationships. So don't sleep on this. There are so many businesses that we work with in our real estate business. When you think about all of the vendors or professionals or other businesses that we work with through the course of a real estate transaction, there's so many. There's the lender and the title company and the home inspector and the appraiser, and there might be a water treatment company and the pest inspector. And I mean, it goes on and on. There's so many people who are involved. And not only that, but in the process of getting a home ready for sale, you might have a carpet cleaner that you're going to recommend, or a painter. And so establishing these relationships and setting up your own personal referral network is huge, because not only is it going to, the more you have these relationships with these businesses, and the more you refer them out to your friends and family and your clients, the more high profile you become with that vendor. And so they know, because you give them a lot of business, when you call or when someone says, I work with so-and-so and she said you're the best, they're going to give them great service because they know you are very valuable to them. And so they want that. Not only that, but it just is really helpful to you to have relationships with people that you go to again and again. It just makes your life a whole lot easier as you're doing business. So set up that personal referral network. You call, email, visit, have coffees and lunches with other businesses. I've done this so many times throughout my career, and some of the best relationships that I have are with other businesses that I refer, and vice versa, or that I refer and they provide a high level of service to my clients. That is extremely valuable to me. You could drop off or mail your business card. You know what? I would be happy to refer my clients to you when they need a plumber. I hope that you'll consider doing the same for me. they are small businesses just like you're a small business, and they're going to be happy to have the connections. Refer them out as much as you possibly can. You want to be the resource of the resource. That has always been a goal that I've had in my business, because if you think about it, how often does someone buy or sell a home? It might be at the most every 3 to 5 years. It's a lot of times it's, a lot more than that. If you think about how long you've been in your own home. So they're not necessarily thinking about you all the time, but what are the things that they're doing? They're getting their grass cut. They might be hiring a landscaper. They're probably having their carpet cleaned once a year. They might be getting their house power washed or their windows cleaned, or, periodically they're going to need to have their house painted. So you want to be the resource of all of these people so that they remember to call you. So the minute they think anything house, anything home related, they're going to think of you. And that is how you can make sure that you are then going to be top of mind when it does come to be time for them to buy or sell, or it's time for their friends or their family to buy or sell. Every time you pass out a referral to anybody in your vendor network or in your preferred professional network, you want to make sure that you let them know that you have referred them. That's part of what helps to cultivate and build that relationship. Whenever possible, I would do an email introduction, emailing, hey, so-and-so, this is my client so-and-so, or this is my friend so-and-so, and they're looking for this, and I said that you are the really best one. And so it just helps to kind of cement that relationship, which is really critical. And then one of the relationships that is probably the most critical for a brand new agent, really any agent, is to establish lender relationships. 1 or 2 lenders that are going to be your go-to lenders, because my lender has become a mentor to me in my business. I have worked with the same lending partner for 19 years, and I have learned so much from her, not just about financing and real estate in general, but just about business in general. And so having that partnership is going to be really critical for you. So I highly encourage you to find a lender partner that you can spend time with, have coffee, get to know. You're going to refer business to them, and they're going to help you when you refer that business in. If you don't know who to go to, check with some of your local community groups, maybe check with your friends. Hey, talk about a post that is a great way to get in the, kind of the gentle plug that you're in business, because everybody wants to help and say, hey, you know what? I just recently announced that I have my real estate license, and I am actively looking for a strong lender partner to work with going forward. Who do you recommend? Who's your favorite lender? And let your friends and family share with you all of those people. And that's how you can make a great connection. And then also your title partner, I didn't put that on here, but a title partner is also a really good one. A title attorney, having someone that you can go to when you have that quick legal question about a contract or about a transaction is also a really good one that is extremely valuable to you. Next is you want to learn from the best. You want to learn from the people who are already producing, who are already doing a lot of business. You want to learn from the people who are where you want to be. So what are some ways that you can do that? You can ask to shadow other agents in your office, or if you're on a team, shadow other agents that are on your team. Shadow them on appointments, and appointments for everything, not just showings or listing appointments, but could you shadow them at an open house? Maybe you kind of help them a little bit with greeting people when they come in. Could you shadow them on a home inspection? All of that is experience. These are all things that you're going to need to do. Could you go to settlement? Obviously they would need to get permission, because you wouldn't want to, listen in on someone's financial information. But that's certainly a possibility. And I have had agents who shadowed me at settlement with my client's permission. And it's going to allow you to get that experience without actually having had the transaction yourself. You can also set aside time each week for learning things like podcasts, videos, books. Obviously, Empowering Women in Real Estate, the podcast. There is so much free and low cost opportunities out there to improve yourself and improve your business, but you have to just be sure to take advantage of them. So to make sure that you do that. And strive to take away and implement one thing from every learning opportunity that you have. So no matter what you're doing, whether you are going to participating in a webinar or a free course, this one, for example, you're listening to a podcast, strive to choose one thing, because it can be overwhelming if you try to implement everything. Strive to start with one thing that you're going to implement first. Get really good at that, and then you can start to expand and move on. It's like when I was talking earlier about technology tools, and when I started with Evernote. When I started with Evernote, I used it strictly as my lead log, nothing else. And then as time went on, I started to use it for more and more things. And then spend time prioritizing personal and business development. You know, I often see the question asked in Empowering Women in Real Estate that, what are the best books on real estate? And I will tell you, the best books for real estate are actually books about personal development, because so much of what we do relies on our mindset, and it relies on our approach, and it relies on how we do things and how we're willing to implement. And it all comes back to our belief systems and our mindsets. And so working on yourself is truly going to take you further than working only on your real estate skills. You have to have both. It's a common mistake that I see. You need to treat your business like a business. And so that's going to mean things like having a budget, having a marketing plan, tracking your leads, tracking your business, having customer service tools in place. This is what it is to have a business, and you have a business. And your success level is really going to be dependent on how well you treat your business like a business. And then you really need to find your tribe. Our industry is really like nothing else I've ever encountered. And many people don't understand what we do. Your family probably doesn't understand what you do. Unless they've been in real estate themselves, they likely don't understand it. And so you need to find a tribe of people who do understand, people who are going to push you when you're overthinking or when you're playing small, people who are going to just listen to you when you need to vent your frustrations or your aggravations. You need to find some people like that. So you can lean on groups. There's many wonderful groups. Of course, ours, Empowering Women in Real Estate, is a fantastic group that you can lean on, or connecting with local agents, or I should say, because I think you need both. Connecting with local agents, maybe some of them from your real estate class, or maybe you could ask your broker to introduce you to kind of fellow new or newer agents, just to kind of get that little pool of people that you can kind of start with. Who are your people? Maybe you go and you preview homes together. Maybe you sit down together and you write your notes together. Like, these are all things that you can do that can really help you to be successful in your business. And then a few additional resources for you. So here are some of my very favorite books. You will notice that none of them are specifically real estate related, because these are the ones that I really feel are going to help you the most. So very favorite, Make It Happen by Laura Casey, Smile by Steve Rigby, Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes, which is exceptionally good on Audible if you're able to listen to it that way. I love the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. I've listened to it on Audible multiple times. I love The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson and Atomic Habits by James Clear. These are all really great books that can help you to move forward in your business. And then some podcasts, some of my favorite podcasts, of course, Empowering Women in Real Estate, the podcast, which we have new episodes that air every Wednesday. So I hope that you'll subscribe to that. The Brian Buffini Show is another favorite of mine that I listen to nearly every week. I love Empire Building. I love the Ed Milet Show, the Tom Ferry podcast, the Kevin and Fred Show. Some of these are real estate related, some are not. I like to have a balance. I find that I learn a lot from people who maybe even aren't necessarily in the industry. There's a lot that you can learn and apply. And then I also took the time to list out for you some of the episodes of Empowering Women in Real Estate, the podcast, that I think are especially valuable or good for a new agent. I think these are things that are really going to help you. So we have episode 5 about establishing your prospecting habits. Episode 6, how to build and grow your database, part 1. Episode 8, establishing your circle of success, which we get back into those kind of vendor relationships, the lender relationship. Episode 9 is the second part of building and growing your database. That's a great place to start. Episode 12, why you should or shouldn't join a team. If you're thinking about joining a real estate team, whether to start off your career or maybe you're a little bit of time into your career, that's a great episode to listen to. Episode 22 is all about pop by, something that I love to do in my business. Episode 26 is about chasing versus attracting business. You want to attract, and so we're going to talk about that. Episode 33 is vendor relationships. We talked about that and the importance of that. Episode 34 is an interview with one of my team members, Chrissy Picala, and it's all about turning renters into buyers. That is a great resource for brand new agents. Rental leads will probably come pretty easily to you from other agents in your office who maybe don't want to work their rental leads, but you need to then be able to put them in your pipeline and transition them into buyers at some point. That episode is really great for that. Episode 35 is all about becoming your local expert. Episode 36 is nailing the listing appointment, which is a lot of great information for your listing appointment. And the success of that really starts before you even walk into the house for the appointment. Episode 39, I walk through some of the different keys, the secrets to my success. Episode 42 is the power of personal notes with Jackie Fields, who is a mentor of mine and my preferred lender partner that I mentioned. Episode 49 is all about boundaries. Remember, this is a lifestyle, but you got to have a little bit of boundaries in there too. Episode 50 is the pillars in your business, which is something that you're going to grow into with your business. Episode 51 is your daily business builders. This is your prospecting. This is something that I do every single day in my business. Episode 61 is the worst advice I've ever been given. Episode 65 is about building your confidence. And episode 69 is about best advice that I've ever been given. So I hope that you will listen in specifically to these episodes. And then we'll just wrap up here and just say that if you would like to continue working with me, I hope that you would consider joining Empower Coaching. It is my monthly membership coaching program where for only $59 a month, I offer your entire marketing plan. It's done for the entire year. It's broken down into weekly plans. I walk you step by step through what to do. There are group coaching sessions. There's action hours. There's a weekly quick lesson. There's a lot to really help you to grow your business and to do it the right way. It is strictly month to month. So if at any time you find it's not right for you, you can always cancel, as I always say, with no hard feelings. And all you have to do is go to empoweringwomeninrealestate.com and click on coaching. And I hope that this course has been helpful to you. And we'll see you real soon. Bye.